Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Craig.
And this is the Knot Project.
Yes, it is. So what we're going to try to do over the next few months is try an experiment where we're doing 1 to 2 videos a month. The weekly pace is quite crazy. I mean, frankly, our lives are kind of busy right now, and I think that we definitely want to keep putting these out because we received numerous comments from folks that you're getting a lot out of them, and we appreciate those words of encouragement and those words of validation that that you guys are getting something out of them. So we want to continue to put them out, but just they won't be every week. So I would expect to see, like I said, 1 to 2 a month. We do have some pretty exciting projects that we're involved with right now. One of them is a small group with our church. In which
our first meeting was today, and it was so fun.
Yeah. So we're Jen did the lion's share of the writing. I was the active management consultant on that material. Pardon me. So this is the second run through we've had with it, and we're really excited to see what God's going to do with it. Yeah. So we've got that going on, and then Jen's working on a specific project that we'll give you more details as we move towards the fall. But we're both really, really excited about it. So. Little hint, little teaser, if you will, but we'll keep dropping those until we're ready to announce something a bit more formally. So, but today, what we want to talk about is how to work with your partner through loss.
It's part of our Marriage Meltdown series that you'll find under at our website under the tab Marriage Meltdown, because we all have meltdowns in our marriage, and you never know what kind of meltdown's going to crop up at any time, and we've certainly had our share, and so we're kind of processing out loud with you guys how we've handled those particular meltdowns.
Yep. So this one is on unexpected loss, and that could be as serious as loss of a loved one, or it could be loss of a job, or loss of something that you hold very hold a lot of value to you. It could be an object, could be a place,
a dream,
hopes. We all, unfortunately, in this life will encounter a loss in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And God has designed marriage as a partnership and a relationship that we help each other through these times. And as we were kind of talking about this afternoon, there were a couple of things that kind of popped up to my mind immediately that I think that you can kind of keep in the forefront of your mind as you're walking that journey with your spouse. And one is just to be present. This is something I kind of have to remind myself because I have a tendency to want to withdraw and disengage. And part of that has to do with the fact that that's kind of how I recharge. So I need to be cognizant of my own energy level and emotional state, and be ready to be able to pour myself out for Jennifer if we encounter that. If I'm operating at a deficit all the time, when those opportunities come where I need to be present with her, I can't fully be present with her because I don't have the capacity. And that shouldn't, in a perfect world, that would never happen. But so I need to remind myself it's important to practice self-care and practice those moments of reflection and contemplation and time by myself, so that my quote-unquote emotional tank is full enough that when she needs me, I can be there for her. So the first thing is to be present.
So why don't you share a little bit about what it looks like when you're choosing to deny your emotions?
Yeah, that could come out in a variety of different ways, but for me in particular, I tend to get irritable. I tend to
play lots of video games.
Yeah, well, I look for distractions, right? I'm looking for that soothingness that I'm not getting from a more productive, more
source.
Validating source. Like ultimately for me, I have quiet time every morning with contemplative prayer, and that is what refills my emotional and spiritual tank. Now, for the longest time, I was practicing other things like video games, you mentioned, pornography in years past, that I was using to help fill that.
Or numb.
Or numb the pain or frustration or stress that came as a result of not feeling it in a productive manner. So it might be different for everybody, but the thing is to one, be cognizant of the need for those, whatever those activities are that fill you in a positive way, and that you can interact in a relationship with God, whether it be active or passive. And then secondly, to recognize your tells when you're not getting it as a signal, as almost like an early warning system. It's like your yellow light. You know, it's like, okay, caution, something's not right here. I need to reset. And then do that for your spouse as well. And you only do that is through having that relationship and the conversation too, where you can be honest and say, look, I'm seeing this activity or lack of activity. What does that mean? Is everything okay? Kind of, you don't necessarily, you're not each other's parent, you're each other's spouse and your partner. So you want to be honest and open and transparent with them and say, look, this is what I'm seeing. What's going on? Like, let's talk. Let's have a conversation about it. And you can do that in a way that's not condemning or judging, but one that's more supportive and loving.
And that kind of brings us to our second point, is when you're experiencing great loss, there is a noticeable hole in your heart, in your soul. And so everything just kind of feels heightened. I think if you're choosing to be present, all your emotions and your stress level, everything is a little bit raised. And so when you're operating in that on that plane, it can be really easy to jump to conclusions, make assumptions.
Internalize what's going when it doesn't belong to you is another one.
Yeah, be angry about something stupid, but the anger is actually about something that's much deeper or related to the loss that you're feeling. And so there's this place where you kind of have to exhale and have grace for your partner, because honestly, if your partner's experiencing loss, you're going to be experiencing it too, because two are one. You may have different levels, you may have different aspects that are harder or easier, but at the end of the day, you have to remember that you're on the same team. And I think what Craig was saying is just having that ability to pull back from what you're feeling and what you're experiencing and ask God to show you the truth. Like our pastor Buck at North Point said today, his counselors tell him all the time that feelings are not facts. It doesn't mean your feelings aren't true, and it doesn't mean that they're not valid, but they don't always tell you the truth about what the situation is. And so to allow your spouse, to give your spouse grace to speak into your life is incredibly powerful, because we need to, when we're experiencing loss, we need to be reminded of what the truth really is that the truth holds all the hope. If we don't have truth, God's truth, God, that he's faithful, that he's provider, that he's good despite our circumstances, all of those things, if we lose that, then we lose sight of the hope that there's a reason for our pain and suffering.
Yeah, so just to recap, one is you want to be present with your spouse and provide that positive, graceful, and accepting environment.
Not fixing the problem, because you probably can't fix it, but just sitting with them in the problem.
Yep, and then the second piece is not to personalize or take on what you're experiencing, because people process pain differently, and sometimes it's very overt, sometimes it's very covert, and not to say, okay, well, there's something wrong with me, or I must have done something wrong, or, or like Jen said, I have to fix this. That is not your role. Your role is to be just a presence, a loving, graceful presence for your spouse as they walk through that journey, hug when necessary, shoulder to provide, to cry on, and an ear to listen. So that's it for this week, but we thanks again for all the positive comments that you guys have thrown our way. It definitely gives us encouragement and keeps us going. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks. See you next week, or sometime. We'll see.
Sometime this month.
Bye.